I never imagined the first month in my new home would turn me into the unofficial main character of my neighborhood. But life has a way of tossing you into the spotlight before you're ready. 3 weeks ago, I was just a regular guy named Evan Carter, excited to move into my first place, a cozy 3-bedroom house in Maple Ridge Heights, the kind of suburban neighborhood where the biggest drama was supposed to be whose dog kept digging up the community flower beds. Today I'm the guy who accidentally exposed a whole corruption ring in the HOA. And it all started because one woman decided to crash her SUV into my garage and blame me for it. It was moving day, a Tuesday morning, warm but not miserable, and I had just finished unloading the last box from the rental truck. I was sweaty, exhausted, but feeling proud. This was my home, my space, my new beginning. And then I heard it, that awful metal against metal crunch that every car owner recognizes instantly. I sprinted toward my garage, heart pounding, and stopped dead. A silver Lexus SUV sat halfway inside my garage, its bumper jammed right into the side of my parked car. Behind the wheel was a woman in her late 50s with stiff platinum hair and sunglasses the size of small satellites. She rolled down her window like she had been waiting for this moment. "You need to move your car," she snapped. "You're blocking the access lane." I blinked. "Ma'am, my car is inside my garage." I pointed to the concrete floor beneath us. "My property. My garage. My car. Now with your SUV mashed into it." She scoffed like I'd just told her the earth was flat. "I've been the HOA president of this community for 12 years. I know exactly where your property line is. Your garage extends too far out. You're violating code, and this is what happens when you don't follow the rules." That was the first moment I realized something was deeply wrong here. The second moment was when she stepped out of her car clutching a designer handbag like it was a legal weapon, practically shaking with indignation. Meanwhile, I'm staring at a very real dent worth probably $3,000, thinking, I can't afford this. Not today. Not ever. I pulled out my phone to document the damage, which apparently offended her deeply. "Excuse me," she barked. "Are you seriously trying to record this?" Yes." I snapped pictures while she sputtered. And that's when I remembered. I'd installed a brand new security camera just the day before. It was angled directly at the garage entrance. I glanced up at it. She followed my gaze. And the transformation was instantaneous. Her face drained of color, her lips pressed together, and for a moment, she looked like a kid caught stealing candy. "Cameras facing the street are against HOA regulations," she stammered. "You'll need to remove that immediately or face a fine." I couldn't help myself. I grinned. "The camera is legal. It's on my property, and it recorded you driving your car into my garage. So, would you like to exchange insurance information now, or should I call the police?" Her jaw clenched. "Look," she said, lowering her voice in a way that people do when they're trying to sound friendly but instead sound vaguely threatening. "We're neighbors. Why don't we just forget this happened?" Before I could reply, another voice joined in. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." A guy from next door walked up, mid-40s, worn jeans, a Michigan State tee, friendly face. "Name's Tom Bennett," he said, "and our lovely former HOA president here has a long history of making trouble disappear only when it benefits her." Barbara, yes, that was her name, glared at him. "Tom, nobody asked for your input." "Yeah," Tom said, crossing his arms, "but you're getting it anyway." I ended up insisting on filing an insurance claim. She wrote my name down in her little leather HOA notebook like she was adding me to some medieval kill list, then screeched out of my driveway, as if leaving tire marks was her personal signature. Tom just sighed. "Congrats," he said. "You've officially made an enemy on day one." That night, I watched the footage, crystal clear. Barbara didn't accidentally turn too wide. She angled her car deliberately into my garage. She even looked around before doing it. Every second of it screamed intent. I saved the footage in 3 places. If Barbara wanted war, she had picked the wrong opponent. The next morning, I woke up to 3 HOA violation notices taped to my door. 3. For things that weren't even wrong. My lawn height. My trash bins. My exterior paint, which I hadn't touched. It was coordinated. Retaliation. And I felt that old familiar knot in my gut, the one I used to get in high school when a teacher or coach would single me out for something I didn't do. I'd spent most of my life being the guy who kept quiet, who avoided conflict, who apologized just to keep the peace. But now, standing on my porch holding 3 made-up violations only 24 hours after she rammed her Lexus into my car. Something in me snapped. I spent the day researching HOA laws, my rights as a homeowner, and what counts as harassment. It turned out, a lot of what Barbara was doing was not just unethical, it was illegal. That evening I showed up to the HOA meeting with my laptop, ready to calmly present the footage. The community center was full, people sitting stiffly, avoiding each other's eyes, as if speaking too loudly might summon Barbara's wrath. She sat at the front like some kind of suburban dictator, wearing pearls and a polished smile that didn't reach her eyes. When they opened the floor to resident concerns, I stood and played the video. You could hear a pin drop as her SUV plowed into my car on screen. One woman gasped so loudly it made 3 people jump. Barbara stood up and declared, "That video is edited." I was turning around and my brakes malfunctioned. Nobody believed her. You could see it in their faces. But they also didn't speak up. They were scared, intimidated, conditioned. Only Tom gave me a supportive nod. As the meeting ended, a woman slipped me a note, just a phone number. "I'm Samantha Rhodes, the HOA secretary," she whispered. "Call me. I can help." That night, she revealed everything. Barbara and her son Drake Peterson, a slick real estate agent, had been targeting homeowners for years, harassing them with citations until they sold at a loss. Drake bought the houses cheap, flipped them for profit. It wasn't just harassment, it was a full-on acquisition scheme. And my house was the missing piece in a planned commercial redevelopment deal. They needed my property specifically. Samantha gave me names, dates, and one bombshell. A city inspector named Travis Hale was in on it, too. The corruption reached deeper than anyone realized. I spent days gathering evidence, interviewing past homeowners who had been pushed out, installing more cameras, and every new piece of information made my blood boil. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about everyone who had been bullied, threatened, cornered into giving up their homes. Then came the break we needed. Linda, a 70-something widow on the corner, agreed to help. Kevin, Drake, had been pressuring her to sell for months. She invited him over, wearing a discreet recording device. We watched from Tom's house across the street as Drake casually admitted to the entire scheme. "Sell now and you'll get a fair deal," he said. "Wait, and you'll drown in HOA violations. My mom can always find something wrong when she needs to." He even bragged about the commercial redevelopment plan. "This whole section is getting torn down," he said. "Eminent domain won't pay you anything close to market value, but I can get you out clean." Game over. But we weren't done yet. A few nights later, Tom pretended to be out of town, and my cameras caught Barbara sneaking into his yard, planting fake violations, beer bottles, yard debris, random junk, then photographing them as evidence. That was the moment the case became airtight. Coordinated harassment, real estate manipulation, financial misconduct, all recorded. I compiled everything and took it to Detective Aaron Miles at the county sheriff's office, someone outside Barbara's circle. He studied the footage, the documents, the recordings, and just shook his head. "You didn't uncover an HOA dispute," he said. "You uncovered a whole criminal enterprise." Things moved fast after that. Search warrants, interviews, evidence seizures. Drake cracked first, offering the combination to Barbara's home safe in exchange for a lighter sentence. Inside were contracts, payment logs, lists of targeted homes. It was everything. But Barbara wasn't done fighting. Before police reached her house, she broke into mine, rifling through drawers, smashing equipment, screaming to herself, "Delete everything," like a villain in a bad movie. I watched it live on my phone from down the street. When the police arrived, she was caught red-handed. And when Drake saw her in cuffs, he wouldn't even look at her. "I'm not going to prison for you," he muttered. She shot back, "I made you who you are," like she still believed she controlled him. In the aftermath, everything unraveled. Barbara, Drake, and the city inspector all faced charges. The HOA was dismantled and rebuilt with Tom as the new president. Neighbors who had been silent for years suddenly came forward with their own stories. People who had been strangers became allies, even friends. Weeks later, Detective Miles showed up at my door with something surprising. "Your house is historically protected," he said. "A mid-century architect designed it. It can't legally be demolished." So that was why Barbara had been so desperate. My home was the one property they couldn't replace, the key to their entire scheme. Months passed, and Maple Ridge Heights transformed. The toxic atmosphere dissolved. People actually smiled at each other again. Kids played outside. The fear was gone. And for the first time since moving in, I felt at peace. One afternoon, checking my mailbox, I found a letter from Barbara in prison. It only said, "You may think you won, but this isn't over." I laughed, tossed it in the trash, and went back to the neighborhood cookout where kids were laughing and Tom was grilling burgers like a man who had finally regained his sanity. Justice doesn't always come fast, but when it hits hard. And now I'll end with this. If this happened to you, what would you have done? Do HOAs have too much power? Have you ever been bullied by someone who thought they were untouchable? I want to hear your stories. Drop them in the comments, because trust me, you're not alone.